Hostin's obsession with race gets thrown back in her face. Today's video comes to us from Sunny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in Sunny Hostin.
Wow. I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, you know, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Sunny Hostin recently became the center of attention, but not for the reasons people expected. Known for her strong opinions on racial justice, reparations, and systemic inequality, she has built a reputation on advocating for these causes. However, her appearance on PBS's Finding Your Roots took an unexpected turn, completely altering that image. In a shocking twist, Sunny discovered that her ancestors were not victims of oppression, but rather slave owners. Yes, a strong advocate for reparations learned that her own family benefited directly from the very system she condemns. Her reaction? Stunned disbelief, followed by an awkward attempt to dismiss it as just a historical fact. Greg Gutfeld saw this as the ultimate irony, using his sharp humor to call out what he viewed as hypocrisy. His remarks resonated with audiences, sparking widespread debate. Should this discovery change how people perceive Sunny's activism? Does personal history matter when demanding accountability? Let's break down this explosive moment. Sunny Hostin, a well-known co-host on The View, has gained recognition for her firm stance on racial justice and identity politics.
It was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners from Europe.
She often presents herself as an authority on moral and ethical issues, passionately discussing reparations and systemic oppression. Sunny does not hesitate to criticize white privilege and frequently calls for accountability regarding America's historical injustices. Her activism is centered on encouraging discussions about fairness and confronting the difficult truths surrounding race and privilege. Over time, she has established herself as a bold and unapologetic social commentator, championing the cause of reparations and shedding light on systemic racism. However, her appearance on PBS's Finding Your Roots brought a revelation that neither she nor her audience anticipated. Viewers expected a familiar narrative, a story of ancestors who had suffered under oppression, aligning with her strong advocacy for racial justice. Instead, what unfolded was completely different. The shocking revelation that Sunny's ancestors were not the oppressed, but in fact slaveholders turned expectations on their heads. Her reaction spoke volumes.
How are you feeling, my friend?
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that. And I think it's great for our children to know this information. I guess it's a fact of life that this is how some people made their living, on the backs of others.
Dazed and clearly uncomfortable, Sunny struggled to come to terms with the information. She hesitated before admitting, "I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican. I didn't think my family were slaveholders." The silence that followed was thick with irony. Social media erupted almost instantly, with countless memes mocking the moment. One particularly viral caption read, "Reparations? Let me write that check to myself real quick." While some supporters defended her, others couldn't ignore the stark contrast between her personal history and the views she publicly champions. The revelation reignited discussions on accountability and the role of personal background in activism. Sunny, who is quick to call out others, now found herself facing scrutiny over her own family's past. Greg Gutfeld wasted no time in delivering a sharp and humorous critique of her revelation. His most biting remark? Sunny's ancestors were slave owners. That's like discovering a vegan secretly runs a barbecue restaurant.
So awkward on, new episodes of The View when she tries to pull the race card.
Yes.
And then she's like, America is racist. And then they're like, yeah, they might be racist, but they're not like slave owner racist. like somebody that we...
That's so true.
Yeah.
One thing, and I would have even actually not give her any is she said, well, like, I guess that's just what they did back then.
Yeah.
She should have followed that up with saying something along the lines of, and I understand that that's a departure from the way I've talked about this before.
The punchline landed hard, drawing roaring laughter from his audience. But Gutfeld didn't stop at jokes. He seized the moment to highlight what he saw as blatant hypocrisy. Sunny has spent years criticizing others for their ancestry, framing discussions around systemic oppression and historical accountability. Yet, when confronted with her own family's involvement in that very system, she casually brushed it off, calling it just a fact of life. Gutfeld was quick to point out how identity politics often backfires when personal narratives clash with reality. He argued that Sunny's moral authority had been shaken, emphasizing that self-awareness and nuance are essential when addressing complex topics like race and history.
It is funny. She is so wrapped up in identity, and she had no idea who she was.
Well, now we understand why she always makes Whoopi get the coffee.
Exactly, because if she is shaming descendants of this, will she continue to do that when she is now one of them?
Gutfeld elaborated that by reducing complex issues to identity-based arguments, activists like Sunny risk ignoring important context, including their own contradictions. The irony, as he put it, wasn't just that Sunny's ancestors were complicit in a system she condemns. It was her refusal to use the moment as an opportunity for reflection. Instead, she quickly downplayed its significance. Gutfeld's critique struck a chord with many who viewed this as a classic case of moral superiority, clashing with inconvenient truths. For him, this incident wasn't just about Sunny. It served as a broader lesson on how personal accountability is often overlooked in favor of performative outrage. Following Sunny Hostin's shocking revelation, the internet exploded with reactions. Social media platforms like Twitter and TikTok were flooded with sharp humor and biting criticism. One particularly popular meme repeated the caption, "Reparations? Let me write that check to myself real quick."
You know, in her defense, everyone has ancestors that did unspeakably horrible things. It's just that not everyone's ancestors have records tied to their DNA about it. Worried for Sunny Hostin's progeny in the future that do a DNA test and find out that they were related to a cast member of The View. And they're like, oh, it all makes so much sense now why I'm so stupid and fat.
While some people defended Sunny, arguing she shouldn't be blamed for the actions of her ancestors, many others pointed out the contradiction. A woman known for holding others accountable for their historical ties to oppression now seemed to dismiss her own family's history with little concern, calling it just a fact of life. This ignited a heated debate. Should public figures like Sunny be held to the same moral standards they expect from others? Critics felt that her response lacked the depth and introspection expected from someone so outspoken on accountability. The irony of the situation ensured that the backlash would persist, keeping the controversy alive for weeks. The fallout from her revelation didn't just spark public outrage, it also made her co-hosts on The View visibly uneasy. When the bombshell about her ancestors owning slaves dropped, the usual fiery energy on the show gave way to an awkward silence. Even Whoopi Goldberg, known for her quick-witted responses, hesitated, seemingly unsure of how to handle such an ironic twist. Meanwhile, on Greg Gutfeld's show, the reaction was anything but restrained. His panelists took playful yet sharp jabs at Sunny, with one joking that she might now have to hold herself accountable for her family's past. Their laughter only reinforced the perception of double standards at play. Rosie O'Donnell also weighed in, offering a more thoughtful perspective.
Guess there's nothing worse than to find out you're a white woman.
She's so disappointed.
It's really disappointing.
Her mother was white.
Oh my
The
God.
shame.
Oh my God.
The horror.
History and finds out that this is fantastic. She is descended from slaveholders. She's descended from slaveholders, and she's been apparently getting a lot of mail about her call for reparations because it turns out she's going to be paying them and not actually receiving them.
She stressed that people should be judged by their own actions rather than the actions of their ancestors. while also pointing out how identity politics often oversimplifies complex issues like race and history. O'Donnell's analysis underscored how revelations like this can challenge rigid narratives and force difficult self-reflection. The range of reactions, from critics to peers, exposed a significant divide. Some saw this as a moment for deeper reflection on accountability, while others viewed it as a glaring example of how identity politics can spectacularly backfire. The tension surrounding Sunny's response was undeniable. Her reaction to her family's past felt like a missed opportunity. Rather than using this revelation to start a meaningful discussion on the complexities of ancestry and accountability, she dismissed it as just a fact of life. This response left many feeling unsatisfied, especially given her history of holding others to high moral standards. The moment could have been transformative. Sunny could have acknowledged the irony, shared her personal struggle in reconciling her family's past, and used it to foster a more nuanced conversation about historical injustices. It could have been a powerful reminder that no one's history is simple or without contradictions. Instead, the focus shifted to her perceived hypocrisy and reluctance to address her own family's past. What could have been a moment of personal growth became yet another point of contention in ongoing debates about accountability. Sunny Hostin's story is a stark reminder that no one's history is without complexity, and moral authority can quickly crumble when faced with inconvenient truths. Her revelation challenges the notion that those who demand accountability must also be willing to hold themselves to the same standard. It's a lesson in self-awareness and humility, especially in public discourse. The internet's reaction, combined with Greg Gutfeld's sharp criticism, ensures that this moment will remain in the spotlight. The viral memes, biting humor, and heated discussions continue to underscore the deep irony of Sunny's situation. Will she choose to confront the issue head-on or continue to dismiss it? That decision will shape how her legacy is remembered. What do you think? Should Sunny take this opportunity to engage in an honest conversation, or has she already lost the public's trust? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this story just as shocking, ironic, or thought-provoking as we did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on the latest controversies.